Hi everyone, I'm Catherine, the artist behind Bigelow Fine Arts. Back to the apple from Kirby Rosanes' Worlds Within Worlds, and I am continuing on the apple in the middle today to get that close to finished. I'm coming in with a base layer of cream over the fleshy parts of the apple, and if you missed the last color along, I already put in some shading in this area, so I don't have to worry about that. I have the playlist linked above if you want to skip back and watch that, or just pause and quickly fill in the shadows with some sepia. The cream is just a base layer here. I want to try to give the flesh a little bit of a brownish tint, like a half-eaten apple would have. I bring in the terracotta to begin adding in that rusty brown color. I'm going light because I'm not sure how dark I want to go. I bring in the darker terracotta and start darkening it up a little more. I'm building up to what I think it needs to be. For the seeds, I come in with the Payne's Gray and add in a layer, except for a little area of highlight where I add in a very light layer. I then darken up the shaded side of the seed with some black to make sure it is really dark. For the trees, I am coming in with a base layer of leaf green. I am trying to avoid the apples, but I am also not going to stress about it. A little green will just give the apples a little extra shading. I'm going to go around and hit all of the foliage with this green, not yet worrying about shadows. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It helps keep you informed of when I post new videos, as well as join in on the color alongs. I have palettes and timestamps in a Patreon post, so go check that out if you want the whole list of colors. And if you missed out on my free coloring page, be sure to check out the cards above for some playlists, including the one to get that and the color along with it. Subscribing is the best way to learn about more freebies like that. About halfway through, I decided to come in and add in the color for the apples, so I wasn't smearing my hand through the green. I start with the deep scarlet red and cover the apples as best I can. I work to keep it in the lines, but if I miss a little spot within the apple, that can work as a highlight. For this, I go through and hit all the apples, even the ones in her basket. I then come back through with the deep red and add in another layer to darken them up a little, and again, if I miss a spot, the scarlet will take over for that area and act as a highlight. Again, I also hit the apples in her basket. And to finalize the color, I add in a layer of Naples yellow since I have been making my apples with a two-tone color. So I wanted to show a little yellow here as well. I'm not sure how well it stands out, but I did it anyways. Time for some shadow blocking. I begin with the permanent green olive and go through where I think shadows would be on the foliage, mostly underneath and to the right side of things. Many of the trees do have some line art to show some shadows, so I'm using that as a starting point. I come back in with the leaf green and finish off the other half of the foliage I put off earlier so I can continue going through and adding in all of the shadows. I think it will be easier to work up all of the foliage at once. I'll just have to be mindful to not smear green into my sky. Now that I have the last of the leaf green in place, I come back in with the permanent green olive and continue blocking in the shadows on this side. Now I want to add in a little bit of yellow to the leaves with the May green. I am adding it over the whole treetop in a uniform layer just for that yellow tint it is giving. It also helps fill in the tooth of the paper, but mostly I want it for the yellow. I do give the shadows an extra layer after to help darken it up a little more. Now I come in with the sepia and work my way around all of the areas I added in the permanent green olive and darken up the deepest parts of the shadows and feather out the edges a little into the olive green. I come in with the pine green to continue darkening up the shadows and work the edge of the sepia out a little more to help it blend in better. I also go over each section with the pine green in a light layer to uniformly darken the foliage. The foliage here is way too light and I need to darken it up quite a bit. If you've made it this far and have enjoyed coloring along with me or just watching these leaves come to life, I'd appreciate it if you'd give me a like and subscribe to stay informed of when I post new videos. It really helps me out. Patreon has a short write-up, my palettes, and a list of the timestamps, and I've made them available for everyone. If you have any questions or page requests, please leave them below or reach out to me on social media. I put in a list of chapter breaks in the show notes, as well as a list of equipment I like to use. If you use any of my affiliate links, it really helps me out without costing you a thing. I post 3 times during the week, and subscribing is the best way to stay in the loop. Plus, if I post more free coloring pages, you'll be one of the first to know. I come back through with more sepia to keep working on the contrast. I need to build up more contrast to help the trees stand out more. For the trunks, I begin with a layer of raw umber on all of them as a base layer. I add in some shadows with the walnut brown, keeping to one side of the trunk and under the overhanging branches. I blend all that together with the warm gray, which also darkens the browns a little bit. Gives the trunks the appearance of a smooth gradient around the trunk. I add in some sepia to the areas between the trees where the flesh of the apple would be showing through. I keep the shading lighter in the front where the woman is picking and darker to the back where it is under the trees. Finally, I blend everything together with a layer of cream to tie it all together. That is it for now. I will have a video at the end where I go through and touch up everything, refine the colors, and bring up contrast to work across the whole picture. Thanks for joining me today. Let me know below or on social media if you colored along. I'd love to know how you did. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, MeWe, and Patreon. I want to thank you all so much for coming along and joining in with me on this coloring journey. I appreciate all my subscribers and look forward to more of you joining in and coloring along with me. Please like, share, and subscribe to help that happen. Until next time, happy coloring!